Anoche soñé contigo. Ni soñarlo. Tengo sueño. Hey everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome back to my sofa in beautiful Barcelona. Today we're going to talk about the verb soñar. We talked a little bit about this the other day in a video about the expression me suena, because it's just a very similar looking and sounding word. But soñar is to dream of something. It could be to dream like something you really want to do. It could be to dream like literally to be asleep and dream of something. Today we're going to talk about the verb soñar, some of its conjugations, because conjugation in Spanish is always a big deal, and a couple of expressions using the forms of soñar. So, let's go. First thing I would like to talk about, soñar con algo. In English, we say dream of something or dream about something, but in Spanish, soñar con. I know that con is with, and that dream with doesn't make any sense in English, but in Spanish, that's just how you say it. Soñar con algo. Algo is something. So, soñar con algo, important to note that the preposition is different. After that, it's also important to talk about the conjugations. Last week we did the ñ, the letter ñ, which is an important letter. Soñar has the ñ in the middle. But when we're conjugating, soñar is what my teachers back in the day would call a stem-changing verb. A stem-changing verb means that the so in soñar changes to sue in a lot of the present tense conjugations. So I'll just give you the conjugations and then we'll do examples. Conjugations of soñar. Yo sueño, tú sueñas. Él, ella sueña, usted sueña. Nosotros soñamos, vosotros soñáis, and ellos sueñan. So you can see that the nosotros and the vosotros don't change forms, but the rest of them all change from so, soñar, to sue, sueño, sueñas, sueña, soñamos, soñáis, sueñan. This is important. You just have to memorize these conjugations. There's no other way of doing it. The conjugations are real. They exist. When I say yo sueño, that's just for convenience. Most of the time in Spanish conversation, in regular sentences, you wouldn't say yo sueño. You would just say sueño, because sueño already implies yo, I dream. So sueño is I dream, sueñas is you dream, soñamos is we dream. The pronoun is not necessary in Spanish because the verb tells you what the pronoun is. So the examples that I have don't actually have any of the pronouns. We just use the verb conjugated in the correct form, and we understand who the sentence is about from that. So let's do an example of each of the conjugations in present, and then I'll talk about some other things. Sueño con comprar una casa en la playa. I dream of buying a house at the beach. Sueño con comprar una casa en la playa. A preposition plus infinitive is a good rule to know in Spanish. Sueño con comprar una casa en la playa. I dream of buying a house at the beach. But the, sueño con and the comprar in infinitive. So that is I, because sueño. A you sentence. Sueñas con hacerte rico. This is you. I'm talking to another gentleman, because if I were talking to a lady, I would say sueñas con hacerte rica. The adjective rica or rico changes according to the gender of the person I'm speaking with. Sueñas con hacerte rico? Do you dream of becoming rich, of being rich? So, hacerse rico is get rich, I guess. Hacerse is to become something in Spanish, but other translations of become are a little complicated. So, sueñas con hacerte rico? Do you dream of getting rich? Do you dream of being rich? Last year I made a video where I talked about the adjectives and how they change from masculine to feminine and singular to plural. rico, rica, ricos, ricas. Interestingly, in Spanish, rico is also what you use to say something is delicious. So if I said, estas patatas son muy ricas, like these potatoes are very delicious, I'm using plural feminine because potatoes are plural and feminine. And saying estas patatas son muy ricas. A third person singular sentence. Ella sueña con mudarse a Nueva York. She dreams of moving to New York. Ella sueña con mudarse a Nueva York. Not much else to say about that. Mudarse is to move physically from one house to another, I guess. The verb mover could be to move something, like I'm going to move this table. Voy a mover la mesa. But if I say voy a mudarme, that's I'm going to move, my household from one place to another. Here's a we sentence. Soñamos con hablar español algún día. We dream of someday speaking Spanish. Soñamos con hablar español algún día. Algún día, someday. Good expression to know. Soñamos, again, doesn't change the stem. We just have the amos there. No problem. I think I probably did the verb hablar or something. I explained these AR verb conjugations. The o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Amos is just the suffix for a normal AR verb in the present for nosotros. Nosotros soñamos. A veces soñáis con vivir en Alemania. Do you, plural you, sometimes dream of living in Germany? I don't know who I'm asking this, but, need an example. A veces soñáis con vivir en Alemania. Do you sometimes dream of living in Germany? Alemania is Germany. In German, they call it Deutschland, I guess. And in English, we call it Germany. And in Spanish, it's Alemania. I'm not sure how we got all of these different words for Germany, but that's what we're doing. Finally, mis amigos sueñan con encontrar trabajo. My friends dream of having a job, finding a job. Mis amigos sueñan con encontrar trabajo. These days in Spain, a lot of people are working. Back in the day, it was like nobody had a job. We had this huge economic crisis and people were just unemployed for years and it sucked. These days, you don't meet a lot of people who are unemployed. So that's present. I haven't really talked about the past much here because there's a lot to talk about and it's just going to be a long, exhausting thing. I will give you a couple of examples of past. Spanish has a couple of past tenses that are very important. It's going to be a long, long story when I decide to tell it. Today I've got other things to do. So let's just talk about a couple of the forms. María, soñé contigo anoche. Soñé contigo anoche is I dreamt about you last night. So I had a dream about you last night. María, soñé contigo anoche. Kind of a creepy thing to say to this poor Maria. But that is the preterite tense in Spanish. That is something that happened at a specific moment in the past. Anoche, last night. So the preterite soñé has, 6 forms. There's also the pretérito imperfecto, it's called, which is the imperfect preterite. I don't know where they came up with these names. It's like this big complicated issue. But in that case, it would be cuando era niño soñaba con vivir en Londres. When I was a kid, I dreamt of living in London. Cuando era niño soñaba con vivir en Londres. Soñaba is referring to something that I dreamed about a lot, or I dreamed about over a long period of time. It's not a specific moment in the past. It's a long period of time in the past. So there's a lot to say about this, and all I'm going to say today is soñé is a specific moment in the past. Soñaba is for a long time in the past. So soñé contigo anoche is I dreamt about you last night at a specific moment. Cuando era niño soñaba con vivir en Londres. When I was a kid, I dreamed of living in London. Londres is London. That's a longer period of time in the past. Finally, the expressions with soñar and its forms. Tengo sueño. We could talk about tienes sueño also, and all of the other conjugations of the verb tener in that case. But tengo sueño. I'm sleepy. In Spanish, they tend to differentiate between being sleepy and being tired. In English, I never did this. I would just say, I'm tired. That could mean I'm sleepy or I'm physically tired. But in Spanish, estoy cansado is maybe like a physical or emotional cansancio, tiredness. Estoy cansado. Tengo sueño is I am sleepy, like my brain wants to rest for the night. So tengo sueño, estoy cansado. Different things in Spanish. Finally, we have the expression ni soñarlo. Ni soñarlo is in your dreams. In your dreams, like it's not going to happen. I am never going to do that, etc. In your dreams, ni soñarlo. So imagine, Maria, who I have dreams about at night. Imagine I say, Maria, ¿quieres ir a tomar algo conmigo el viernes? Maria, you want to go out and have a drink on Friday? She would say, ni soñarlo, Daniel. Don't even think about it. In your dreams, Daniel. Meaning she's not going to go out with me, is the question there. Ni soñarlo. Ni is like not even, I guess, in this case. Not even in your dreams. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Learn Spanish with Daniel is an evolving project on YouTube. I have, 50 videos or something. I also do travel videos. You could check out my recent travel videos from Extremadura. I did a whole bike tour across Extremadura, and, I've got several videos there. Biketourinspain.com set that up for me. It was a great experience. I highly recommend it. Go to biketourinspain.com if you are interested in stuff like that. Tell them that I sent you, and they'll be grateful. I also have a podcast here on YouTube. It's everywhere. You could listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you wanted to. It's called Spain to Go. It's also here on YouTube. 102 episodes, I think, so far, and more by the time you watch this, maybe. So Spain to Go, the best podcast in the entire multiverse for all things Spain, talking about culture and, politics, food, Spanish news, things like that, all kinds of, general Spanish stuff. Finally, I don't have anything to sell you here, but I do have a donation page. If you like these videos, please head by expatmadrid.com/donate, and you can donate however much money you want, really, from €3 on up to however much you feel like donating. I appreciate it. I do this for free because I like the Spanish language and I like Spain. And, someday I might make some bigger thing out of it. But for now, it's something I do in my free time. So expatmadrid.com/donate to support the cause here. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.